Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're going to explore something pretty wild. We are going to look at how a single seemingly basic technological invention actually birthed a completely new style of music and, in the process, created the very first modern pop stars. It's an amazing story full of accidental discoveries, wild adventures, and a fundamental shift in how we human beings connect through sound. So think about this for a second. How did a simple piece of wire and metal literally invent the modern pop star? Well, we're going to dive right in and discover how. Long before the massive, stadium-filling idols we have today, early artists used brand new technology to completely rewrite the rules of stardom. You see, before the Roaring '20s, if you wanted to be a famous singer, you really only needed one main skill: sheer, unadulterated volume. But as we're about to see, everything changed in a heartbeat. Section 1. The microphone changes everything. Okay, picture this. It's the mid-1920s, and a brand new, highly sensitive radio microphone hits the scene. For the very first time, this tech was capable of capturing the absolute softest of sounds, instead of just loud, booming voices. And the stark difference between these two eras is absolutely massive. In the pre-microphone era, singers basically had to act like human mechaphones. They had to project their voices all the way to the back row of these giant vaudeville theaters. You had performers like Al Jolson, who were essentially very theatrical, shouty performers. But then enter the post-microphone era. Suddenly, singers didn't have to shout at all. They could literally just murmur directly into the mic, which created these unprecedented subtleties of emotion. A performer like Gene Austин could step right up to this new equipment, get intimately close, and practically caress the listener's ear. And, this specific technological leap birthed a brand new word that you've probably heard: crooning. A crooner was an early pop singer who took full advantage of this ultra-sensitive radio mic to sing softly, intimately, and sentimentally. It was a complete game changer. It transformed that old, boisterous, theatrical jazz singing into this close, romantic style. Suddenly, the singer wasn't performing for a crowd of 1,000 nameless people. They were connecting directly with you, the listener, right inside your very own living room. Section 2. Gene Austin, the first superstar. The first monumental superstar to benefit from this massive shift was a boy from Texas named Gene Austin. Now, what's really interesting is that Austin actually learned his foundational blues phrasing from an older black plantation worker he affectionately called Uncle Esau. Uncle Esau provided Austin with the human dignity and musical understanding he desperately needed during a really tough childhood, and those soulful rhythms became the absolute bedrock of Austин's future sound. When Austin finally made it to New York, literally everyone was trying to mimic the booming voice of Al Jolson. But Austin had this incredible self-awareness. He realized his softer, much more laid-back approach perfectly suited this new microphone technology. As he put it himself, "I knew I could never sing as loud or perhaps as good as Mr. Jolson, so I just crooned like his mammy." That clever pivot, it launched him into unprecedented stardom. To put this into perspective, we have to talk about his staggering commercial success. His intimate style resonated so massively with the public that he sold an estimated 80 million records over his career. Seriously, let that number sink in: 80 million. His absolute smash hit, My Blue Heaven, stayed at #1 for 13 straight weeks. In fact, until Bing Crosby released White Christmas years later, Gene Austин's My Blue Heaven was literally the largest selling record of all time. But here's the crazy part. Behind that soft, soothing voice was an incredibly chaotic, movie-worthy life. I mean, his timeline is completely wild. In 1916, he runs away from home and joins the army just to chase Pancho Villa. By 1924, he's hustling his way through vaudeville. In 1927, he records his mega hit, My Blue Heaven. Then in 1928, he takes his custom yacht, which of course was also named My Blue Heaven, out to sea, gets caught in a hurricane, and actually survives a fake news radio broadcast that was reporting his own death. No way, right? And if that wasn't enough, by 1939, he's running a traveling tent show down south. His wildlife also frequently collided with other musical legends. Get this, he once received a frantic letter from his friend, the legendary piano player Fats Waller, who had been locked up in jail for failing to pay alimony. Austin rushed over to the court and bailed him out, mostly just so Waller could play piano on his next record. Well, Waller immediately showed Austin 2 songs he had just written while sitting in what he called Hotel Alimony. One of them happened to be the brilliant hit Ain't Misbehaving. Austin was so thrilled, he told Waller, "You just keep running out of dough so you get thrown back in the pokey if that's where you can write these kind of songs." Section 3.
Vaudeville women, independent powerhouses.
So let's move to the next act and see how this builds, because the microphone revolution definitely wasn't just a boys' club. It empowered an absolutely incredible generation of female artists to define the era. And this is a fascinating historical reality. While completely lacking political power in the Victorian and Edwardian eras, these women basically dominated the entertainment industry. They were revered as independent powerhouses, paving the way for brilliant artists like Ruth Etting. Etting started as a chorus girl, crafted her own unique style, and went on to rack up over 60 hit recordings. Women in the audience deeply resonated with their lyrics, and these performers became some of the wealthiest, most independent women in the entire country. And we absolutely cannot talk about this era without bringing up the Boswell sisters. Martha, Vette, and Connie Boswell started out in New Orleans vaudeville houses. Connie, who was actually paralyzed from the waist down and performed from a wheelchair, was an absolute force of nature. Their harmonic vocals were packed with scatting, frequent tempo shifts, and key changes that brought a totally unmatched jazz flair to the microphone. They knocked out 20 hits before breaking up, and Connie's solo career went on to deeply influence future vocal legends, including the one and only Ella Fitzgerald.
Section 4. Al Bowlly, Britain's Crooner.
Meanwhile, if we hop over to the other side of the Atlantic, the British dance bands were finding their own pioneer. Enter Al Bowlly. And Bowley's life was just as dramatic as Gene Austen's. Initially known as the Singing Barber in South Africa back in 1921, his career took him literally all over the globe. By 1926, he's a full-blown jazz celebrity in Berlin. Fast forward to 1928, he's singing at the super prestigious Savoy in London. By 1934, he's crossed the pond and is singing with Ray Noble in America, eventually bagging over 600 records in his career. But tragically, this incredible global journey was cut short when Bowley was killed in the London Blitz of World War II in 1941. But here's the thing about Bowley. He wasn't just a great voice. He actively defined the mechanics of this new technology. He literally wrote the book on it, authoring a guide called The Modern Singing Style. He was instrumental in transitioning the entire British music scene away from that old, shouty jazz into softer, expressive, popular dance music. He proved once and for all that crooning wasn't just some passing fad. It was a completely new, highly sophisticated vocal technique that required range, pitch, rhythm, and immense sincerity. Section 5. The Crooner's Legacy. A lasting influence. So what does this all mean for us today? Why does the history of these early microphone pioneers still matter? Well, it's because every single modern pop idol who sings intimately into a microphone traces their vocal lineage directly back to this exact revolution. It's this beautiful, unbroken, evolutionary ladder. Step 1, Gene Austen pioneers the croon. Step 2, Bing Crosby takes that intimate murmur and completely dominates the radio wave. Step 3, Frank Sinatra dusts it off and absolutely perfects the swagger of the mic. And finally, step 4, Elvis Presley takes that exact same close mic intimacy and injects it with the resurgent energy of black blues. The pop music we listen to today was fundamentally shaped by the invention of a sensitive microphone, and the brave few who figured out how to harness it. Which brings us to a really fascinating question to wrap things up. If a sensitive microphone birthed the modern pop star in the 1920s, what completely new musical revolution is today's technology secretly creating right now? As new tech like autotune, spatial audio, and AI reshape how we capture, manipulate, and generate sound, what totally unheard style of music is currently waiting in the wings to define our next century? It's definitely something to chew on the next time you put your headphones on. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep your ears open to the future.